So, hey everyone, this is Shawn, and I'm here with Walt, and we're doing an online video analysis. And from what I saw from your videos, Walt, couple of questions for you. What is your dominant hand? What do you write with and throw with?
My right hand.
So you're right hand dominant.
Yes.
Okay. And what was your typical miss with the driver? Because I noticed with the driver, and you know, I'll show everybody the difference in your grip. Your grip with your irons is a little stronger than the grip with your driver.
Oh, okay.
Is there a reason for that?
No, not really. I think it's pretty unconscious.
Yeah, and I see that often in a lot of people. So as far as the driver's concerned, I saw you hit a couple of nice drives. They're pretty straight. Is that typical, or do you tend to lose them a little to the right?
I tend to lose them a little to the left.
To the left?
Yes.
Okay.
I tend to pull it.
Is that with the irons or with the driver?
With the driver, I tend to pull it.
Okay.
And it's funny with my irons, they tend to go right, a little right when I miss.
Okay, good. All right. So the ball position with the driver obviously is helping you stay a little bit more behind the ball. Now, do you use an intermediate point when you play?
Yes, I did on
Like-
your previous videos.
Like that far in front of the ball?
Yes, I do that now every single drive.
Okay. So now you're staying with your intermediate point when you're performing your drives.
Yes.
And when you do stay with it, you typically won't pull it left.
Yeah, I would say that I'm pulling it left a lot less than I was.
There. Okay, good. So that's improving. So distance-wise, what is getting a little more distance something that you're looking for?
Yes, and since I've been watching your videos and taking your lesson, when I'm hitting it, making good contact, I'm 10 to 15 yards further than I was before.
Right. So you have seen a little jump in distance, about a club length, since you started looking at our stuff.
Yeah, I would say that.
Fantastic. Well, so I took out 3 instruments here that are going to help you, and I'll give you and the viewers some videos to look at on the regular channel, and you'll also see a little more in detail on the premium channel on some of those things, right? So the first things first, one of my obvious favorites is the ball on a string. Now, one of the iron swings that you had, that you showed me, you can tell that you never let control of the arm unit go. It just looked like you were in constant control of that club during the swing. So back to the ball on a string. So if I had a ball on a string and I give that to gravity, I have to. I mean, there's no other way of doing it. And so the ball would represent your club head, and the string would represent the arms and the shaft of the club. And where the string is attached, where I'm holding the string right now, would represent the shoulders. Okay? So you've got an arm club unit swinging freely from the shoulders, and you get to see where that club is passing at the bottom. So you take, and I notice your posture and the distance between you and the ball is excellent. So that looked awesome. And from the front, your stance, width, and your foot position and ball position were excellent. So you're in great shape there. So what we're looking for now is the feel of the swing. So if I take this to the tee, brain says a little closer, good, a little lower, good. So you can see now how accurate this ball on the string is when I'm performing that task. Did we lose you a little bit? So that's the wonderful part of the internet. It's nice to be able to connect, but sometimes the signal gets interrupted. So let's give Walt a little call back here. So there we go. No worries. So did you see me with the ball on a string going to the tee?
Yes.
Perfect. So here's the proof. Now this is a really cool tool that I got out of the guys in San Antonio who are working with David Ogrin. So for those of you, who, if you want to check this out, you go to David Ogrin and get him through Instagram, and he'll tell you where to go buy these. I bought it when I was there in person, and the work that they were doing for speed training was excellent. And this is one of the tools that they use. So it's like a ball, screw it onto a chain, and then that chain is at the end of a swing. And just to show you how accurate that is, I go into my perpetual motion swing, right? So I let it swing in both directions. And you notice how I really have to wait for that transition. And I see the blur of that green ball passing in front. And then all I have to do is get a little closer. So you can see, even with this really wiggly thing, how accurately I'm able to clip that tee.
Yes.
So you giving control away to gravity and letting it track like a ball on a string is going to give you more power and more accuracy. Okay? It's and you hear about this I got to stay in control, and I got to put a head cover under my armpit, and I need to stay connected with my arm club unit. Well, that wouldn't sit very well for, let's say, somebody doing some fast pitching in the Olympics. So if I'm fast pitching, you can see that everything is swinging freely from that shoulder socket. And if I tried to connect the armpit, then I'm significantly reducing my velocity, aren't I? As well as my accuracy, because there's only one kind of a semi-ball socket in the radius here. The ulna is fixed, but the ball socket system of the shoulder is fully mobile. You get 360 degrees worth of mobility with it. So what we're looking for now, and when you do that perpetual motion, c'est correct, tu peux passer en arrière. When you're doing that perpetual motion drill, you're feeling how the arms and club are tracking from the shoulder sockets down, and then you can give it a little extra velocity. Do you ever see the video entitled Throwing the Club, Shawn, Clement?
Yeah.
And you see it on the premium channel there, the club speed video on the premium channel? Yeah. So to take this club and to really chuck it freely is an incredible boost of speed. And you'll realize now that when you're throwing something, you're tuning into the weight of the instrument. And that's what leads us, to dotting the I's and crossing the T's. And what we're talking about right now is, let's say I wanted to tag a nail one shot into a 2x4, and I had to do that all day. Well, I wouldn't do that, would I?
No.
So I'd take the weight of the hammer and I'd give it a nice hefty tag, right? So I'd give it I'd use the heft of that hammer and the weight of my arm to give it a nice snap. So we're doing the same thing with the golf club. If we're throwing the club, immediately the brain tunes into the weight of this thing, so it knows how to throw it. If I gave you a golf ball, well, throwing this golf ball be a piece of cake. But if I put a 12-pound shot put in your hand and you tried to throw it the same way, you would absolutely rip your arm apart.
Yeah.
So then your brain would have to figure out a different way of going about things. So now it'd have to lean up against the arm here and heave it off the body instead of throwing it away from the body. So it's the same thing with a golf club. You can really whip the snot out of a golf club, but if you take a sledgehammer, and we use those analogies all the time, either a nice 3-pound axe or a sledgehammer, I'm using the weight of that axe to perform the task. It's light enough to hinge the wrists, right? So, but you really have to respect the weight of that instrument. And if you're a seasoned lumberjack, well, you're never going to fight against the weight of that instrument. You're going to use that weight to perform the task. So we've got this beautifully tracking arm club unit. And then we give it a little bit more of a ride. So it should feel like you're throwing it with ease and velocity. So you have your picture. You typically, you choose your flight plan and you choose your intermediate point to get you into that flight plan. And then you set up to the intermediate point. You say, okay, I'm going to do a little draw. And once the setup matches the picture, then it's all about what feel are you going to use to deliver. So I want to feel like I'm using the weight of that instrument to slash effortlessly through that dandelion stem. Or I'm going to throw the club out into my picture. When I do, it feels like I'm going to top it, thin it. Okay, now it feels like I'm going to hit it solid. So now if I throw the club into the direction that my intermediate point represents, it feels like I'm going to hit the ball solid. Well, what's it feel like when I throw the club with ease? Yeah, it feels about like that.
So I have a question.
Yep.
Shawn. So I have a tendency to kind of, when I swing through, to go up on my toes.
Yes.
And is that because I'm trying to control the club?
Well, here's the question. So Walt was just mentioning that when he swings through, he goes on to his toes. And I did notice that with one of your drivers.
Yeah, and it's like the club head's pulling me forward.
Yes. So here's the question I have for you. When this occurs, rewind back into what your state of mind was at address. What were you getting ready to do? Were you getting ready to hit the ball hard? Or were you getting ready to throw the club in the direction that you wanted the ball to start?
I think I was trying to hit the ball probably.
Right.
I know I wasn't thinking about throwing the club.
Okay, so you weren't throwing the club to the target.
No.
So here's what happens. If that's your target and you're throwing that way, the brain doesn't need to do any shifting that way. If you go back to my, there's one really old but good video entitled Ridiculously Easy, Shawn Clement. Okay. There's a part 1 and part 2. And then there's another one entitled, and we're going to hear a little more of it in the new year, is Perfect and Automatic. So we talk about how the human machine, through its millions of years of evolution, has a self-preserving system built in. It also has, and in that self-preserving system is the hunting mechanism, right? We threw a lot of rocks and spears and stuff at our food, and we also had to use that to defend ourselves against other people. So to throw a punch or to slash a sword or to cut through some hay with a scythe, we're all using the same kinematic sequence or kinetic chain. So there's a big difference between, so if I take a sword here and I'm going to slash through a bamboo shoot in front of me, right? So that's me slashing through it. Notice I didn't do this. Right? Okay. So if the ball is my target and that's the end, that's what I'm going to do. Right? Because I'm slashing at the ball. But if I'm slashing through and towards the target, that's completely different. So when I'm throwing a ball, so you can even try it out. You go to, if you go to the gym and there's a punching bag there, throw a punch. You'll never throw a punch like this. Brain is always going to go to the ground. Use the ground to get your body out of the way so you can snap a punch. Throw a ball. Slash a sword. So in so doing, when the brain goes to the ground to get your body out of the way to go that way, your balance will be phenomenal. So when you're moving through into the target, you'll have terrific balance because the brain senses, hey, we need to collect here and release out there. That's very different than there. So if you're going at the ball, Why would I shift my weight here so I can clear to go there when that's my target?
Right.
And that's why you see over the top. The pull to the left is simply somebody giving up on their picture.
Yeah.
Or when you push the ball to the right, what happens is when you default to the ball, so if the ball is here, can you see that ball right now?
Yes.
Okay, so the ball's there. I want to go that way. Well, this allows me to go that way. So you notice beautiful shift, clearing of the body and all that good stuff. But if I go toward the ball,
I end up with a no follow through on my swing.
there you go.
The club's kind of low and out.
That's it. So that's when you don't really have a follow through because you're hanging on to your balance.
And I'm still hunched over, kind of,
Yep.
I still have angle and I'm like this.
Exactly. So when you're not finishing your swing, or you got a little chicken wing, or and all that stuff, you just, okay, what was my original focus? You can always trail it or track it back to your original focus.